Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very, very senior and accomplished corporate leader and an entrepreneur from Kent, UK, Mr. Praveen Joshi. Praveen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ashutosh. Glad to be on the show.
Thank you. Praveen is the managing director of RSK Business Solutions. Praveen, before we talk of RSK, a few questions for you.
Of
Tell me
course.
about your journey and what inspired you to co-found RSK.
Sure. So I'll start with my journey before I get to
Yeah.
how I got to RSK. So I've done my initial education in India. I've
Mhm.
done bachelor's in computer science. After that, I did my internship program in America. So I was with a 3M company
Mhm.
and in Eau Claire near Minneapolis. And then I wanted to do my master's. That's exactly what I came to London for. So I did my
Mhm.
master's in London and I was working in the software development technology domain for some time before I had this opportunity to be a co-founder with RSK Business Solutions. Now, for me, it wasn't just about chasing money in terms of
Mhm.
setting up a business. It was more about giving myself some flexibility.
Mhm.
And the flexibility was in terms of writing my own path in terms of what I want to do, how I want to do it, and even with who I want to do it. Because I think when you're running a business, it gives you that ability to choose your colleagues, the partners, the vendors, the
Mhm.
client. At the
Mhm.
same time, you are wearing multiple hats, gives you the flexibility,
Yeah.
and you can grow in different domains.
Mm.
So all those reasons came together, and that's how the journey started.
Amazing. Amazing. And you began with a team of just four people. Tell me about RSK and how did you scale up?
A good question. I think that was, somewhat very difficult. I think when you are in a service industry or an agency, I think one of the first question everybody asks you is, what are the clients you work for? Who
Mm.
else you serve? What are the projects you have delivered? So I
Mm.
think that main challenge was finding the first five clients
Correct.
because they have to trust you to deliver without seeing any history, without seeing any background.
Mm.
And on the other side, or the flip side, the other challenge was hiring because you have to go out. So finding the first 10 employees is very difficult. And
Mm.
that's what I found out. Because even though you offer them competitive salaries, I think the people are concerned that are you sustainable? Can you continue to, keep us employed?
Mm.
And I'll tell you a very short story. So we started in UK, but we opened an office in India, in
Mm.
New Delhi, in Netaji Subhas Place, Pitampura, and we signed up a contract with the landlord for an office space for
Mm.
six people.
Mm.
And just before signing up the actual formalities,
Mm.
the landlord refused to give us the space. He
Mhm.
said, because you are like a startup, I'm not sure you can continue to pay me. So he had a cold feet. So he ran away. He's like, no, I can't give you this space. And 5 days before opening the office, we had to look for a different office now.
Wow.
So those are the challenges that
Mm.
comes up, I think, when you
Absolutely.
are new, because people don't trust. And I
Mm.
don't blame them because they are concerned,
Mm.
but that's something you have to overcome.
Very interesting. Let's now talk about RSK Business
Yeah.
Solutions. Tell me a little bit about the scope of work RSK Business Solutions handles, and what does digital transformation mean?
Of course. So at RSK Business Solutions, so we don't see ourselves just as a technology-based company implementing, writing source code,
Mm.
delivering IT projects. We see ourselves as consultants, and we see ourselves specifically as the digital transformation
Mm.
consultants.
Mm.
Uh, in terms of domains, we support from logistics to transport, energy. We are working in finance sector. We are working in e-commerce
Mm.
across various sectors. And same thing with technologies as well. We are working across various technology domain.
Mm.
When it comes to digital transformation, contrary to the belief, it's not just about implementing a software. It's not just about taking a manual paper-based system and now we convert it to a web-based tool. It is more about understanding what is the underlying challenges and how can we improve the efficiencies, how can we cut down the time it takes to get the job done, improve the reporting. So for me, the digital transformation is the 360-degree view in terms of how the currently something is being done and how can we take it to somewhere using technology,
Mm.
obviously, to make it more efficient and make it more scalable.
Right. Very interesting. And Praveen, what are some of the common misconceptions you have observed that businesses have about digital transformation?
Okay, I'll give you two misconceptions.
Mm.
The number one is that it is very costly. I
Mm.
think it can be costly if you work with some large consultants who will place a very big team. We don't operate that way, but so it doesn't have to be costly. And
Mm.
secondly, it doesn't have to be time consuming. It's not like it's going to take 6 months, 9 months, or a year. It depends case by case, but you can take small steps. And this is what we try to educate our clients as well. That look, you don't have to do the whole thing in one go. Take small steps and don't spend too much, spend some time and money, and then you should see some results and
Mm.
go forward from there.
Fascinating. How do you help clients define the right digital transformation roadmap that would align with their business goals?
Okay, so this is very important. I think this is where the role of a consultants come in, whereby you need to sit down with the client, understand the domain, the industry they are operating in, and what are their key pain points. I think you sit down with them, understand where the areas of improvements are, where do they see the main lag behind,
Mm.
and then you come up with a solution. And before you when you go into a technical solution, you come up with a process flow in terms of how you see it working,
Mm.
and then you look at the technical solution. At the same time, you have to keep in mind the cost and the time that the client is happy to invest in it.
Mm.
You cannot reinvent everything for them or with a large bill which they may or may not want to have a budget for. So
Right.
it's all about understanding their core pain points, coming up with a solution within the timelines and the budget,
Mm.
and that's what we try to do.
Can you give me an example of someone who you worked with, no names, of course, and how
Mhm.
they benefited?
Oh, there are many examples. I think I'll give you one example where we are working in the transport industry where they do certain risk assessments, and these risk assessments are done on site. So
Mm.
their engineers or consultants will go out remotely across the UK and
Mm.
they will do some risk assessment is typically a survey with identifying certain risks and mitigations.
Mm.
And they are all doing them on paper and pen based tools where they will print some documents, take them on site, they'll fill
Mm.
the forms, they'll bring them to the office, then somebody will, poor soul, will type them into some kind of a tool,
Mm.
and then at certain stage a report will be available. So it could take them 3 months, 4 months,
Mm.
and there is no proper audit. And because they are handwritten notes, people write in their own style, so there was
Mm.
no standard to risk assessment.
Mm.
Whereas we came up with a digital transformation project here, which
Mm.
was a web-based tool with a mobile application where people could go out with an iPad or a tablet. They could do the risk assessment while they are on site. They
Mm.
were all collecting standard information similar to other engineers.
Mm.
The information was in sync instantly. The reporting was available. They could see what's been done, what's not been
Mm.
done.
Mm.
So it's an example where it made a very quick impact and
Right.
very quick change that brought about in the industry. And now that tool is used across the industry for that particular client,
Mm.
and they can scale it up very easily.
Mm. Great response. Thank you. What are some key metrics you use to measure the success of agile driven digital transformation?
Right. So I think when we talk about agile driven digital transformation, I think the most important thing for me is the user engagement.
Mm.
Because if it is agile, we're talking digital transformation,
Mm.
we have to make sure that we are constantly engaged with the stakeholders. And this should not be at the last stage, just before we go live. This should
Right.
not be like, we've done all this work, what do you think? So
Mm.
this should be from the commencement where you sit down with them and say, these are the pain points, these are our ideas, this is how we'll do it. And
Mm.
then keeping them informed throughout the process, taking that feedback as we develop the project.
Mm.
That's number one. The number two is business goals. So we need to keep in mind what is the key business goal for the client and make sure that we are achieving that as well.
Mm.
And the number three, very important for me, I think, is the ability to scale. I
Mm.
think what we see sometimes in digital transformation world or technology world is teams would box themselves in. They will develop something which looks great, works great, but you can't scale it. It
Mm,
works just for that particular issue.
mm,
So ability to scale that project. So once it's successful, if you want to go from 500 users to 5,000 users, we should be able to do it.
mhm,
And obviously making sure the delivery timelines are being met and we are not constantly, reinventing or changing and, the scope creep is happening.
mm,
So
mm,
making sure that we are also mindful about the time scales.
mm. And you are now focusing on consulting for with artificial intelligence or AI. How are you
Yeah,
integrating AI into your digital transformation solutions? And give an
yeah. So
example if you can.
of course, of course. So I think the AI is one of the biggest change that we have seen in the industry for
Correct.
decades now. I think even it's been recognized as some of the biggest change since internet was introduced.
Mm,
And the way things are moving in AI is very rapid. Every week you see new releases, new things are coming out, and we have started working in AI over last year, and we have already implemented some projects in computer vision, in
mm,
generative AI. Now, before coming into how we are integrating AI, I would also add that we are also not promoting like stuffing AI into everything as well.
mm,
Because
mm.
right now you see there is a big hype as well.
Correct.
People are trying to put AI everywhere.
Mm,
So you have to, I think, as a consultant, whoever is doing this, they need to understand if there is a use case, then obviously you should go ahead and use it.
mm,
But
mm.
there are places where AI may not be applicable and the systems which are working are just fine and we can use them.
Right.
Now, when it comes to AI, we are using it in multiple places. In terms of generative AI, we are just building a product. It's called Voltiscan. Voltiscan would be out in next 6 to 8 weeks.
Mhm,
And this is where we are using generative AI and we are using various LLM models whereby companies could have a private space whereby they can upload multiple documents and
mhm,
then the team or any employees or vendors or vetted people could go ahead and use that document as a chat box. So they could
mm,
chat to the document for any query. So a good example is like your HR documents,
mm.
employment contracts.
Yeah.
These are very large contracts,
Mm,
very lengthy contracts. Uh, and the companies could put it in the Volti scan, and an employee could easily type in how many holidays do I get this year? What
mm,
is my pay increase? Any type of query.
mm,
And we are trying to create a space which is private, which is again linked with AI. We
mm,
are also working with computer vision side, whereby we are looking at images from the CCTV, and in order to identify objects in terms of how many people are in certain area,
mhm,
the
mhm,
activities they are doing, are they doing it safely or not? So computer vision and generative AI, both of them are widely used now by
mm,
us.
mm. Well said. How do you address the fear or resistance some businesses may have towards automation and adoption of AI?
Sure. Okay. So I think in terms of fear or resistance, I think it's psychological. I think as you know,
Correct.
you've been involved in business and you've worked with various corporates, you must have seen that a lot of time it is a psychological thing. As soon as you ask for a
Mm,
change, there is a resistance.
mm.
One of the worst thing I hear from people is, why fix something which isn't broken?
Correct.
And I'm like, why wait for it to break? For me,
Mm,
it's like, why do you want to wait for it to break?
mm, mm,
Let's keep working on improving, while it's not broken.
mm,
And so I think it's more about working with people, making them understand how doing it this way would improve the efficiencies, and
mm.
we are not going to take anything away from them. We
Mm.
are here to make their life easier rather than more difficult.
Right.
So I think that resistance is psychological, and I think if you engage with them at the right level, as I said before, that we tried the user engagement during the commencement and throughout the project, and that will then work.
Mm,
If I give you another example where a transformation did fail as well, where it didn't work as well, because
mm,
a client came up with an idea again in terms of using tablet-based questionnaire rather than paper and pen, but that didn't work because in a different scenario, because when people go out, they said the tablet-based app is asking us to go in certain order. You ask answer number one, two, three, four in the order. But
mm,
when I'm doing my job, I can't go in that order. Sometimes I get answer to number three before I get number two.
mm,
So you have to then understand that they may need certain flexibility. So you may need
mm,
to change the process.
mm,
So listening to the people on the ground is very important,
Very
and
important.
then making sure we could implement those things, and they would then appreciate it and
Mm.
accept the new tool.
Great example. Thank you. You're just saying, that a lot of the fear or resistance is more in the mind, and any change people resist.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, how important is change management in a digital transformation process?
Sure. So I think let's look at what is change management. So
Mm.
the change management is a structured approach whereby we are helping individuals or team or an organization go
Mm.
from a current state to a desired state.
Right.
And the change management is very important in order to achieve the digital transformation goals. Because if we don't do this, then we won't be able to achieve the digital transformation goal.
Mm.
Now, to do this change management, again, we go with the people first approach, whereby
Mm.
we are constantly engaging, communicating, liaising with them, and then we are also considering the product training, whereby we make sure that we have trained them sufficiently,
Mm.
and once the digital transformation is done, we want to make sure that there is a post-implementation support that is
Right.
available to them, whereby they don't feel like being left out.
Mm.
One of the reason people are resistant is, I think they feel like, they're used to doing something, they're very good at it. Now, in
Mm.
a new tool, they might look incompetent or they might not know how to use it. So
Mm.
that's why I think sometimes, we just need to work with people to make sure, they have the adequate support available.
Mm. Well said. For a digital transformation to succeed, how important, in your view, is a cultural shift in the organization? Why or why not?
Yeah, so I think it is important, as far as I've seen mostly, that you do sometimes need that cultural shift, because without having that impact, having that, making them understand how you're doing things differently, why you're doing these things
Mm.
differently, becomes difficult and you get more resistance. So cultural shift is definitely more important when we are doing these transformation projects.
Okay. And when you go in for a transformation, how important is it for the leader to be completely on board? And how important is it for the management team to be on board?
I think mostly the leaders are on board. If you they look, I think they come with different mindset. Okay, so the
Mm.
leader comes in a mindset of cost efficiencies in most places, that
Mm.
they would be looking at, okay, what am I getting out of this?
Mm.
So they come with the mindset of, is it saving me money and time? Then they would be on board with it. The team or the management team, again, probably looking at time efficiencies, but the people on the floor, people who are the end user or people
Mm.
who are actual be impacted by this, they are basically looking at support. They are basically looking at, does it threaten my job? Does this digital transformation process make my life more easy or difficult? Does it make my work more auditable now, in terms of what I'm doing? So you have to work with different levels in the different ways, because everyone has a different goal here. From a leader, they have a different goal. From the person on the floor, they have a different goal. So you got to work as a consultant with them, and then you try to understand their fear and work with it and solve it for them.
Very interesting. We were speaking about AI a few minutes back. Do you see the role of AI evolving over the next 5 years? If so, how?
100%. I think AI is the biggest thing we have seen in recently, and
Mm.
it's going to impact how we work, and there will be certain jobs which may become redundant. I think we have already seen generative AI, whereby writing content is becoming a lot more easier. Obviously, we don't want to just use AI for blog writing, but it has changed how it
Mm.
works.
Mm.
There are certain tools. I was just reading about, there is a tool whereby you can take any document and it can convert it into a podcast.
Yeah,
So in the future, the podcast writing or running a podcast may change.
correct.
When one of us is a AI, the other person is a real person. So
Mm.
so
Mm.
things are evolving and changing,
Absolutely.
but I also believe we should use AI as an enabler. We shouldn't see it as a threat. I think it is about accepting AI and see how we can implement it. Things have changed. If you look back centuries,
Yeah.
industrial revolution came and people thought there'll be no more factory jobs because
Mm.
machines will do all the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
When computers came, everyone thought there would be no need for accountants because
Mm.
computer can do the accountancy. But accountants are still here, factory workers are still
Correct.
here. So
Correct.
similarly, I think the human and the current jobs will survive maybe in a different form, and
Yeah.
we will still be working.
Correct. No, we probably all have to retrain ourselves.
Yes,
You're absolutely right. The human element will always be there. I have time for two
absolutely.
more questions for you. What are
Yes.
some of the emerging technologies or trends other than AI that you are excited about that will shape the future of digital business?
I think if I look beyond AI, I think in terms of the cloud computing, although it's been around for a while, but the way it is evolving and way it's changing, I think that's really exciting. And I think we see that growing further over the years. And in addition to that, I think even things like cryptocurrencies, I think whereby the financial sector becomes
Yeah.
independent of the governance.
Mm.
So that is still evolving, is still growing. And
Yeah.
I think those are some exciting elements outside the AI.
Mm. And my last question to you, this podcast is will be watched by many, many thousands of people who are young entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs. What advice would you give to a young tech entrepreneur who's starting off like Mr. Praveen Joshi in 2009, looking at doing something different like you did?
Sure. So I think build your own journey. I think have your own journey. So
Mm.
don't try to replicate Praveen Joshi exactly or anybody. I think is I've
Correct.
just done a small SME that I have set up, but a lot of people like look at Elon Musk and say, I want to be an Elon Musk.
Mm.
Okay, you may want to be making a new electric car, but you don't have to live the life of Elon Musk because
Mm.
he had his journey. You'll have your journey.
Correct.
Apart from that, the main thing I would say is to have the patience and perseverance.
Mm.
And you don't win every day in
Yeah.
this journey. A lot of days you just learn to hold your ground. And
Correct.
if you are holding the ground, that sometimes is a victory.
Mm.
So you don't move forward every day.
Mm.
Don't be under assumption that every month, every quarter you're winning. You
Mm.
have good days, you have bad days. You need to learn to have patience, perseverance, and learn to be humble, I would say, and
Mm.
work with people and build a team which can support you and which can help you scale. And
Mm.
that, to me, in my journey, I think I'm grateful to the wonderful team I have around me. So if there's one good thing I've done, and this is what I learned from Richard Branson when I was reading his books, that he always said that, if you have a good team, you don't have to work. You
Correct.
hire the right people, they will do the scaling the business for you. So having a great team, and always have a team which can be smarter than you, that can be better than you. And if you can build that, then you will succeed.
What a great response. Thank you. And on that note, and your three amazing lessons, build your own journey, have patience, but be persevering. And the third one, be humble and build a team. Thank you, Praveen, for speaking to me about your own amazing journey. Thank you for speaking to me about RSK Business Solutions, about digital transformation, and about the way technology and AI is going to aid a lot of business transformation and a lot of business decision making. Thank you for
Great.
speaking to me and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashutosh. It was great being on the podcast and great to meet you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.